Hi, it's Kirsty. Today I wanted to talk about shame attacking, the benefits of it, how it helped me, and I'll talk through some of the shame attacks that I did on my OCD recovery journey. I actually feel like I could maybe do with doing a couple more shame attacks in the next couple of months just to keep things kind of sharpened up. So basically, a shame attack is something that you would do that puts you in it, where you choose to put yourself in a situation where you might look a bit silly, or people might judge you, or you may come across as being a little bit crazy, odd, incompetent, or rude, perhaps. And basically, these shame attacks can little by little help to reinforce your changing beliefs about accepting yourself unconditionally. So alongside challenging your irrational beliefs, they can help reinforce these changes that you're aiming to make. So they can help you learn to not need other people's approval quite in the same way. Even if you still want their approval, you don't feel like you need it anymore. And they can take away the edge for you don't need to come across as being always competent and smart. You may still want to, but you don't need to. Or you don't need to be nice and polite all the time. You aim to be and you try to be, or you can accept the uncertainty of whether or not perhaps you've offended somebody or something. And again, it's you might want to be polite and not offend people, but you don't need to be polite and not offend people. So they are actions, essentially like small exposures that you're doing to target the needs for approval, and target the need to not offend people and be bad, etc. And they help to chip away at your overall OCD themes, because a lot of OCD themes, if not all, are partially fueled by shame and the feelings of shame and embarrassment and fear of being disapproved of and cast out by society. So these small actions that you choose to take, they can be incredibly helpful for OCD recovery. With shame attacks, what we do need to be very clear on is that we do shame attacks that are in no way dangerous or put us or anybody else at risk. So I think it's extremely important for me to mention that before I talk through any of the shame attacks that I did. In none of them was I remotely in danger or putting anybody else in danger or at any kind of risk. These are small exposures, and with all exposures, they are done in controlled and safe ways. So the first shame attack that I did was barking like a dog as I was walking to the train station on my morning commute to work, with people around as well, loud enough so that people could hear. And this was a good one for me because when my OCD got quite intense, it made me feel like I was going crazy. So it was quite useful for me to act in a way that might come across as crazy to onlookers, because it can help me practice accepting that other people would think I'm crazy, and maybe even feeling crazy in the moments. And another one that I did actually for sort of the feeling of like you're going crazy and other people think you're crazy was I smeared makeup all over my face and dressed in a really odd outfit and walked around my local park. I think I had a basket in my hand with random things and I was laughing to myself. I kind of had my makeup smeared. And I did this at about 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. or something on a Sunday morning. So I walked past my local gym. So basically just let people look at me, judging me, thinking I'm weird or whatever they might think. So that was a good one for me. And then while I was actually doing that shame attack, I ended up switching over to thinking, this is really bad of me, actually, because it is almost like I'm taking a mickey out of somebody who was struggling kind of mentally and did find themselves acting in slightly odd ways. So I suppose that was an exposure as well for accepting myself, maybe like for accepting that maybe I might have been taking the mickey or mocking, and accepting myself for that, because it's not something that I would want to do. Something that I struggled with at work was kind of fear of being incompetent. It's always been something that kind of followed me around. So I did a couple of shame attacks to go after this. So one of them, I went into a charity shop, and obviously in charity shops, generally it's donated goods where people have one of each product, so you don't get to pick between the sizes. If they don't have it in your size, then you can't have it. So I went into a my local charity shop, which I went to regularly, and asked them if they had an item of clothing in my size, and they said no. And then I asked about several other items if they had it in my size as well. So that was a really good one. It also was quite good at getting in there, sort of, if you feel like a burden or anything like that, like you're wasting people's time. Again, it's a harmless way to help get under these kind of fears and rules we might have for ourselves. Another one similar to that was I went into a shoe shop, and I tried on a pair of shoes in a 3.5 and a 4, and then I said to the person serving me, do you have it in a 3 3/4, please, because the 3.5's too small and the 4's too big. And she said, no, we don't do them. And I said, well, do you know what? Can I suggest that you maybe offer that to your manager as a idea? I think your manager would be quite impressed with you, because there are people like me who are in between these sizes. So that was another one I did, and it was sometimes useful to sort of, if you could record yourself saying it and then show it to the group, and as the WhatsApp support group, as kind of, I suppose, evidence of having done it, but also because we could cheer each other on. It encourages us because, this is good stuff. It's really useful for us. And then another one that I had done, and this was a difficult one because I like to kind of be kind towards people, and I'm generally quite polite, and I'm actually quite judgmental of people who are impolite towards me. I'll sort of label them rude in my mind. So this was a good one for me, was keep sending a coffee back twice when I ordered it, basically, and also sort of a couple of times not saying please and thank yous when ordering coffees. It sounds like a really small thing, but that's something I find incredibly difficult. So that was a really good one. And then another one that I did, this is probably the mother of all my shame attacks. I know quite a few people have done this one. I took a banana for a walk after work. I walked down Borough High Street, which is a busy high street in London, after work in rush hour. I tied a banana to a string and I walked along with it. Quite frankly, I'm regretful that I didn't put a face on it like some people did. But yeah, people were some people were staring, some people laughed, some people said, hey, I like your pet. And some people didn't even look. And this is kind of, another thing is that some people don't even notice the things you do and say, and it's always good to remember that. But that was a good one to get under, sort of the maybe craziness thing for me, but also being judged by people thinking I'm a complete idiot or anything like that. That was a really, really good one. Another one that I did was, I don't really recommend this to anyone. It was just one that popped into my head in the moment. I was standing up on a morning commute on a tube, and I pretended to be almost falling asleep on someone's shoulder. This is not one that I recommend. It was a bit silly, to be honest, but I just felt it popped into my mind in a moment and I went with it. It's not a good idea because you don't know how people are going to react. but the person was trying to edge away from me and I just kept on leaning over. So I suppose that's good for getting under being a burden or being annoying or being crazy or just a bit skanky perhaps. Yeah, so that was a very good one. Yeah, so those are the main ones I can think of, but each of them helpful in their own ways. And it's good to, same as even if you're sort of at a good place in your recovery, it's still good to sharpen up on those things, like maybe with still continuing to challenge irrational beliefs, because we can become less rational again the more time we spend like on social media or listening to the news or chatting to people who are kind of stuck in the irrational beliefs about, you know, made up by society. So same as with challenging your beliefs regularly, it's good to sharpen up on the shame attacks too, to remind yourself it doesn't matter what people think. The world doesn't swallow you up if you look silly in one moment, or if you're accidentally if you accidentally say the wrong thing to somebody. It just shows your mind again that you're, you know, willing to accept yourself, if you're not 100% perfect on all of those counts all the time. So yes, I did that. I think this is a good video to do because shame attacks are a small and indirect way of helping to get under various obsessions. It's not as with some exposures, they can take away the edge off OCD, you know, very, very well when they're targeted, and sometimes it's very tempting to go straight in there for your specific obsession, whereas shame attacks are more general. So it's a very step-by-step process with them. So it's good. It's practicing your sharpening up on your patience and your frustration tolerance as well. So I hope this video has been useful, maybe giving you a couple of laughs as well about my weird stuff that I've done in order to help my OCD. Thank you. Bye.